Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission is one of the most amazing author experts of a new book that we have coming out. The book is called Mindset Mastery: Awareness, Meditation, Mindfulness, and Manifestation for the Spiritual Warrior. Carrie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura. It's such a pleasure to be with you and to be included in this great book.
I'm excited to have this conversation. You guys, Carrie Hopkins-Doubts is a spiritual resilience coach at Life's Next Chapter Coaching, where she works with people going through major life transitions to help them create a life they love on the other side of change. So, Carrie, thank you, first of all, just for being willing to share your story in this book, and also for the incredible master teachings that you're gifting us with it in the chapter 2. This book, you guys, is full of awareness practices like Carrie's that will transform your life, like for real, like powerful, powerful stuff. So, Carrie, would you start by just sharing a little bit about your chapter with us?
Sure. I wrote this chapter a year and a half after the passing of my beloved husband, Tom. And as a grief coach going into that experience in my life, it really taught me not only, I knew the territory of grief. I knew how to coach people through it, and I knew how to, just create a safe space for people to do the work. And that did not at all exempt me from having to go through the really nitty-gritty of grieving the loss of my husband. So I tell people, I knew the territory pretty well before that, but I really learned to walk it, sometimes on my hands and knees. It was that full-on body, emotional, mental, social, spiritual experience firsthand that really opened me up to another dimension in my work. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with the readers in my chapter.
You've been on my mind and in my heart and in conversations since then, because we were working together in another project. And I have said to people that you showed up even though. And I wonder now what a gift it is to be able to talk to you now,
Mm.
just with some space on the other side of that. I kind of want to know how did you show up like that?
It's a great question, and it's really waking me up to the memory of going through that. The chapter for, I forget which one of the books was due, and I'd been working on it and, just kind of moving things around, and I knew that wasn't it. And then my husband suddenly died right in the middle of it, like 2 days before the article was due. And I had to, of course, plunge myself into a completely different chapter. And I just decided I needed to write about it. And that is one of the things that I don't think people realize, that when somebody is in the midst of grieving, they need to express, they need to talk about what's going on for them. So I just poured my heart into it, and really wrote from that place, yet at the same time from the place of clarity. And it was like another part of my consciousness was really activated to not only just get sucked into the vortex of feelings, but to really rise above it and see, what is it the reader needs to know? What is it? What do they need to know? So it was really an act of service. I didn't want anybody else going through that feeling alone.
I mean, 100%. I still am thanking you for that, today. And like I said, I've thanked you out loud, even when you weren't in the room, to hear it so multiple times, that you were able to do that. And that chapter was a gift, and so is this one. And I thank you for who you are in the world, that you were able to do that. And honestly, this topic, mindset, you guys, I'm such a mindset geek.
Mm.
So awareness is everything. to me, it's what makes the difference between kind of a mediocre life and a totally amazing life. So, Carrie, I want to know, what does being a mindset master mean to you?
I think you said it very well, and I'll just like pull the lens onto tight focus of it. It enables us to stop living life like a victim. Where we just go, oh, terrible, that happened to me. Sure, we can have a pity party when something hard happens, but if we stay there for any length of time, that becomes kind of crystallized around our being, and we start to think that's who we are, a victim of life's circumstances, of loss, all the terrible things that can happen to us. So I think mindset is really, it's allowing for the emotional life, but it's also knowing there's more to you as a human being, as a divine being with having a human experience. There's way more to you than just your feelings. So it's like when we get into mindset, it's really starting to choose, how am I going to frame this situation? What meaning am I going to make of it? Am I going to grow from this? And this is what I talk about in my chapter. If you have a growth mindset, um, then you can use any situation or circumstance going on in your life to grow.
Agreed wholeheartedly with that. You're making me think of something I want to touch on real quick. When I talk about shifting mindset, and when you say, let's shift from victim mode, a lot of the times, uh, people in the healing community will talk about this, and they'll say, yes, but we have to give ourselves permission to feel everything and fully go there and fully process, and we're not shoving it aside, we're not stuffing it down. And I know that goes without saying. I know that this foundational process of healing includes feeling everything.
Yeah.
And we're not telling people to, like, shift your mindset into something better when you're in the middle of grieving. However, I feel very strongly about what you said. If you then get stuck there and you don't realize that growth mindset or the possibility of it, you're missing an opportunity, to change your life in that moment. Will you talk about that just for another minute?
Absolutely. And it is a matter of timing. We need time, to be with the feelings. So I talk about in my book where we can get into this conversation with people who are outside of our experience. And I see this in the spiritual community a lot, where they go straight to the reframe of, oh, see this as a blessing. And if you're not ready, you're not going there. However, and that's really kind of what I talk about in my chapter, the process of going from a really strong reaction to somebody who wanted to reframe me in that moment of 2 weeks after my husband's death. They're, wanting to fix me, and we don't need to be fixed. So we do need that time to assimilate, to work with our inner process. But as it's working on us, we find our way through is by making a real promise. That's what I did. I made a real promise to myself that I'm going to find my way through this to the other side, where I'm making a contribution to the planet, because we're not taught how to deal with loss and grief. But if I could be a voice for people in that wilderness of, this is not who you are. So let's really just take that aside for a moment. Yes, you're going through grief, but that's not who you are. And really starting to realign with the truth of who you are. So I don't know if that answered your question,
No, it's just, I
Laura.
mean, so important and so powerful. Yes, yes, yes. You answered it and beyond. So listen, I know you have a lot going on aside from writing in this book. Like, what do you want to share with us about what you have going on, how people
Mm.
work with you, what you got going on these days?
Well, one of the things that Tom's death invited me into was a real pullback from my business and go, what is it that I want to create going forward? And I sort of took a break from taking on grief clients. I'm back enrolled in that work again. I'm working on a retreat. I'm working on an online course. I want to leave a legacy, for when I'm no longer here, that, people can access the work that I've done over the course of this, 15 years I've been working with this topic. So I'm working on that. I'm still serving my individual clients and my group clients. I also work with people going through divorce. That's another life experience I went through, and it's also dealing with grief and loss through a different lens, a different context. So I'm still working with that. I love collaborating with other people. So I have a collaborative project with another coach, a friend of mine, called The Hero Within. And that's a retreat process that we do for men, that is really talking to men in the midst of a midlife crisis to help them understand what's going on from them from the inside out, rather than trying to make those drastic outside in changes. So we do that also. So I really love my work. I get a chance to do a variety of work in my work life. So that's what I'm up to these days.
And it's a lot of amazing stuff. Lifesnextchaptercoaching.com is hooked up below, you guys, so you can check it all out. So, and I think you guys see that these are way more than books. One of the missions I have is to give you the community and the resources. So listeners, no matter where you are on your journey, the books will help you answer that question, what else is possible?
Mm.
So Carrie, what's a simple stepping stone you'd like to share with the listeners today that will help them start that journey, on the journey? So what do you want them to know?
I want them to know that, loss is part of life. Nobody goes through a life, especially getting to be my age, without going through loss and
You mean
going through.
18?
That's right.
Okay, good. Just
Going through.
checking.
Yeah, I won't reveal the decade I'm in, but life deals with us, right? And so what I would love for people to know is, you don't have to do this kind of healing work by yourself. There's a community of people around you, finding the right people who can be helpful. So we tend to want to isolate ourselves when we're hurting, sort of retreat into our little den and lick our wounds, and, emerge from that just being willing to be supported and loved through it is my encouragement to people going through loss and grief.
That's brilliant. Be willing to be supported and loved. Carrie Hopkins-Doubts, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone.
And thank you, Laura, for what you do in the world. I can't tell you how much what you do has encouraged and helped me.
Thank you. I am completely honored to guide the journey for everyone who is sharing their brave words like you, Carrie. It's been an amazing ride. And listeners, hey, Mindset Mastery is coming out January of 23. But until then, if something you heard Carrie say today made you curious, maybe you have a question or you need some support, please scroll down to the show notes and you're going to be able to connect with her on her website there. She's very generously there for you to help you take those next steps. So go check out all of those amazing things that she talked about today. And you're also invited to continue the conversation and meet our community in the Brave Healer Book Club. That's on Facebook, and the link is below. Join us for our book launch party. That's on January 22nd in the new year. Brave Healer Productions Facebook page has all of the invite and information for Zoom for you. And I'm going to be chatting with all of the co-authors of Mindset Mastery that day. They're going to share their wisdom and inspiration with you. We're going to have a fun party. And if you happen to be listening to this interview anywhere around that date, you can hop over to Amazon and the book will be ready by then. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So come and visit me at bravehealer.com and explore all the ways that we help you share your message with the world in a bigger way, including the Brave Healer Writers Retreat, which is going to be in Sedona in April of 23. See you next time, everyone.